Welcome to this episode of the School of Tao. There is a particular focus in this episode on the stomach and the spiritual and emotional connections with this particular part of your body. Because what happens is we store particular emotions and they are very much emotionally, spiritually connected to the physical and spiritual manifestation of your beautiful body. So, for example, and this is actually always the case, the way that the organ mechanizes in your body is the way that actually it represents the spiritual and emotional symbolism too. So the stomach is all about digestion, it's about ingestion, it's about processing, and it's about providing nutrients, isn't it? Or distributing nutrients through your body. So we can think about the stomach in the same way when we think about it spiritually and emotionally. So the stomach, this is really like a consideration. So if you ever have disturbances in your stomach, it could be constipation, it could be irritable bowel syndrome, it could just be a tension in your stomach, it could be like an unsettled feeling or a nausea or, like just any symptom that arises that causes dis-ease in the body. This is asking you to consider your boundaries and what you take in, what you consume really, and what you ingest. So we want to think about how easy it is to digest what we're taking in. And this means placing ourselves in situations, environments, around people where we find it natural and easy to absorb the stimulus that we're putting ourselves into. It feels natural to go into that environment. It feels natural to surround ourselves with those people. And when we do that, the body comes into such ease because it doesn't have to work to regulate or digest or ingest or digest in relation to the ingestion, anything that's coming in that really feels completely inhospitable or natural. So whilst we can adapt to every environment and let this be the message to our body, there will be certain people and certain environments that make our body feel at peace and ease. And this is where we want to stay as often as possible. Because when we feel good, this really is in the benefit for the collective. Really let how you feel be at the focus of your being. Whether you have children, whether you're a wife or husband or whatever. Your feeling good will put you in this beautiful vibrational position to be the best mother, the best partner, the best lover, the best expression of yourself first and foremost. So this beautiful eradication of codependency is absolutely essential to come into your divine expression. And actually, when you put yourself first, this really actually benefits everybody else. What's best for you is best for your children, is best for your partner, is best for your work as well. So the stomach is connected with earth element. So it's about boundaries, and this boundaries is to do with what you're ingesting and what you're discerning to, or what you're consenting to as well, coming into your space. So you want to be super vigilant, but in a heart open way. You want to be absolutely clear about what's acceptable for you and what isn't. Because if you allow things in that are making your body feel anything less than like super alive, then it's not in your highest interest, and it's not in the interest of your family or the collective at large and the work that you're to do in the world. So you want to really think about placing yourself in positions and places and around people that really make you feel that magicality, your most aliveness, you're most at peace in your body. Where can you most be yourself? Where are you most understood? And where are you most seen and valued? And go there. Because what the stomach does is, if you don't, it will start to produce symptoms like nausea. So when it creates nausea, it's doing it as a protection. It's never doing it. The body is never doing anything to make you suffer. It's doing it to either give you a message spiritually, emotionally, where there's a block, or it's to present you or to create actually a physical boundary. So like when you feel nauseous, it actually protects you off from doing anything. It kind of stops you in your tracks, and this creates the physical boundary. And it only creates that boundary if you're not inserting it yourself. So the body is just your divine intelligence. It knows everything that's going on. It does not miss a trick. You can't override it ever. It has the ancient wisdom of the earth. It's as ancient as the earth from the beginning of creation, energetically. So this is why it's like your super tool. So whenever your body's speaking to you, it's saying, hold on a minute, can you listen here? I'm showing you something. And symptoms in the body will go as soon as you resolve the emotional, spiritual, energetic issue. And if this means to insert a boundary, then as soon as you've inserted the boundary, then the symptoms, say, of the nausea will disappear. If you are, say, constipated, what are you unable to process? What are you unable to let go of or release? You know, really think about the stomach in these terms and what it's communicating with you. Really be asking, like, stomach, because it's so alive. Every organ is so alive in your body and listening. Every cell is listening. So how you talk to your body is super important, and ask it. Ask it what it needs. Ask any particular organ or physical place in your body what it needs for restoration, for peace, for relaxation, for full vitality. And make a pledge to give it exactly what it needs. So really consider with the stomach whether you need to insert some really healthy boundaries. Whether there are people or experiences that you need to let go of in order for your body to come into a greater sense of ease and peace and vitality. So we have healthy boundaries and we have unhealthy boundaries. So healthy ones are where we're like protecting our space and we're just making sure that only beautiful things come in, only things that make us feel celebrated, seen, heard, valued, respected, extra alive. On top of that aliveness we already feel alone. So only those people experiences can enter, and it's really about being firm about that. And as soon as you say no to all of those experiences that are making you feel depleted or tired or upset or stressed or unstable or unseen or not respected, as soon as you make space for the more aligned to enter. But then at the other end of the extreme are unhealthy boundaries, where you might have this tough drive for personal power and like really hard exclusory boundaries, you know, where you're not letting in actually nourishment in order to protect yourself from some sort of perceived threat. And this is caused by a feeling of not being safe in the world. So we can use powerful statements to bring restoration to this sense of unsafety, like it is safe to be me in the world. When I go out into the world, I magnetize with beautiful people. I only allow whatever you allow into your space. But also you want to work with the root cause and get to the bottom of what makes you feel unsafe. You don't actually have to go into the memory itself, but you just want to work out where the energetic and physical block is. So if you have this feeling of unsafety that's presenting as this really harsh boundary and you're like protecting yourself off from people and nourishing experiences, and you're like driven in a personal powered way rather than a collective power and co-creative way, what makes you feel that unsafety and where does it reside in your body? And then ask that specific part of your body, or ask your stomach to release from every cell and from every cell of your body actually, and from your energy field, that boundary that is too harsh for the actual safety of the reality. So a healthy stomach is like courageous, it's like bold as a fight, it's like I'm safe to go out into the world, it's like I meet with magical people when I put myself out there. It's brave, you know, like this expression always comes to me, like from the cradle to the grave, brave. And this is the stomach. When you have a strong stomach, it's like, you know that when you put yourself out there that you can handle anything that comes your way, because you have this strength, because you have this healthy and vital stomach, because you have belief and you have trust in yourself. And trust is very much connected to the earth and to boundaries and to the stomach, because it is like, oh, I know that when I put myself out there, because I nourish myself, because I set firm, healthy boundaries, that I only magnetize with experiences and people that nourish me. And this creates the safety, the feeling of safety to go out and to go out and to go out and to go out wider and bolder. The other really fascinating thing about the stomach is when you feel safe in the world, you stop needing to eat as a comfort. So your stomach will actually stop needing so much food because you feel nourished and satisfied anyway. Then you don't need to get extra or excess nourishment from the produce of the earth, because sometimes there can be a tendency to reach for food as a kind of crutch in some ways to feel safe. You know, this is why there's things like binge eating, or, you know, like we go to get snacks or something. You know, it can be very subconscious, or, you know, or if there's a leniency towards sweet things, this is like also this yearning to feel safe. And as soon as we feel safe and safer and safer and held and trusting, as soon as we don't crave unnaturally sweet things or refined sugars, as soon as we actually stop kind of snacking really, and we become, you know, alive and nourished by life itself and by the vitality of being alive. We do of course need to eat, and it's a pleasure, and it's an absolute luxury, and it's gorgeous to celebrate what the earth produces and put beautiful things in our body. But we really want to make sure that we're putting beautiful things in our stomach, because literally everything is energy. So if you eat foods that are really like low vibrational foods, then this is going to affect how your body vibrates and how you're operating at a cellular level. So you want to put really alive things and really natural things in your body, and like really, if you can get them as close to coming out of the ground as possible, like the more alive they are, the more local they are, the more indigenous they are, the more aligned this is going to be with your body. You know, you want to really calibrate to the part of the earth that you're in as well. Whatever's growing naturally where you are, this is going to naturally be best for the climate that you're in, and then also natural, most natural for your body too. To nourish your stomach, you can eat really pungent vegetables. You cannot eat enough vegetables. Things like ginger and garlic and really luscious greens and carrots, and lots of vitamin C is really good for the stomach as well, and anything fibrous. And this will also, when you treat the physical symptom, you know, when you start giving your stomach what you need, then it will start healing at a spiritual and emotional level too, in a metaphysical sense. So it's really glorious. You know, you can just focus physically on what your body needs, healing that, and it heals the emotional cause too. And you don't even have to go into the memory of it exactly. You know, the release of it and the nourishment of your physical body is enough to sometimes unblock and release. The stomach is also connected to feeling safe to be vulnerable. Now, to be vulnerable really means feeling safe to expose yourself in all of your allness. To be vulnerable is to expose yourself and open yourself up to more of everything, essentially, but to also know that this means opening yourself up to everything, potentially criticism, potentially people not agreeing with you, potentially pain, because sometimes in life, as this human experience, we experience loss as well. And so this vulnerability is like saying, I trust myself to have all the resources I need to go through any painful experience, and knowing that it builds my inner strength and it embodies me all the time with wisdom. So as long as we're living, we're learning and we're growing and we're expanding. And so to be vulnerable means to go out. So this is highly connected with trust in yourself, trust in the greater universe. This is really trust in the feminine, to be held. This is why it's connected to earth element. It's like, it's really about identifying, if you don't feel safe, why don't you feel safe? You know, it's to do with being provided for. It's a trust in the unseen as well. It's a trust in the energetics. It's a trust in your inner knowings before you can actually see something physically come into manifest form. And it's about ability to receive nourishment. You know, sometimes if we weren't seen and we weren't given the nourishment that we needed in the way that we needed it as children, sometimes it can feel very difficult to receive nourishment when we get older and people start to want to give it to us. So this also requires a looking at, you know, if this is something that has occurred in childhood, can you find the place in the body and release that memory at a cellular level? The stomach can also be about holding yourself in. So sometimes the stomach, because of programming and you know, because of like feelings of expansion, sometimes the stomach can do this really odd thing. It can get really activated. You know, it can feel really sensitive when you're really stepping into your masculine aspect and you're actioning what you receive. Sometimes this can feel really unsettling in the stomach until enough masculine energy is brought in, enough fire really to dissolve the fear. And this rises as a kind of almost like a nervousness feeling in the stomach. and can result in a holding self in. So really, if you can come into deep connection with that feeling of the stomach and like, actually, what is it triggering? What is it activating in your stomach? And can you again decrease, remove, release, surrender to, release the emotional attachment connected to whatever is the root cause of what is causing you to hold yourself in. Because in order for the body to refresh and to renew and to flow, for energy to flow through your body freely, you know, you have to be able to let all of yourself out. This means like all of your truth, all of your personal authentic expression, everything that you receive to transmit and share, you know, really everything, like how your body wants to move, what is your authentic movement. This is all connected to yourself, your natural self, your truth. And if you hold any of that in, the body at some point, especially the stomach, will start to object. So start to think about where you can start to let yourself out, your true self, not your conditioned self, not what people expect of you, but who you truly are and how you truly want to express what feels natural for you. Because when you show up in the world like this, oh my gosh, you just get so abundantly blessed and protected. And it also is permission for other people to do the same. So really letting yourself out, this really soothes your stomach. Something else that's a bit harder to look at sometimes is if there is a sense of inadequacy, as in you're not fully accepting all of you and where you are in your journey and evolvement, or you're not fully loving and accepting all parts of you as you are right now, there can be this sense or this judgment that you are inadequate or feelings of inadequacy. And this sometimes can have this reaction where, you know, you are driven to achieve personal power. It's like a really tough drive. It's like an assertion of freedom rather than just like a natural expression of freedom. It's like a fight for it rather than the freedom itself. And this is kind of rooted in like control and also, you know, not wanting to look embarrassed or silly. You know, it's really rooted in an insecurity that is connected to some sort of painful memory in childhood, because you are absolutely perfect as you are. But maybe you also experience this in some relationships that you have. It might not be your narrative, but maybe you experience this as a dynamic where somebody is really asserting themselves very strongly, but not in a very natural way. And this is, yes, a wounding from childhood and really not being seen, and maybe parents sometimes even idolizing children, putting them on this really high pedestal of like, you know, like my child is angelic. And then you could sort of feel like, you know, nothing you can do is ever going to live up to that pedestaling. And so you sort of rebel really fiercely against that. And then this can really spiral and this can really lead to expressions of, yeah, tough drive for personal power and authority, really, or, yeah, it's control, really. Control, it's about fear of really being seen exactly as you are for who you are, which is perfectly adequate always. And lastly, if we're like hard boundaried, it prevents people from coming into our space and giving us nourishment. So sometimes this can be like a rejection of pleasure, or an inability to accept pleasure, being given pleasure, or even self-pleasuring, and learning, relearning, remembering your true ecstatic nature, and remembering that you are always worthy of love. We're always all worthy of love exactly as we are. We don't have to be perfect. There is no perfect. We're always perfectly imperfect, you know, humans, messy humans. And, you know, opening to receive tenderness and love and pleasure can be like the most healing, nourishing thing ever. It's not about needing it, but it's about how nourishing it is. And we are magical social creatures. Like, you know, even when we can completely fill ourselves up and we feel full of universal love, you know, it's still beautiful because we're having this human experience to connect with other people and to be tender and loving and tactile, positively tactile and touching where it's appropriate in our lives, because this really makes the body feel safe as well. You know, human touch and human comings togetherness really nourishes the stomach and actually nourishes your whole being and your soul as well. So yes, the stomach, earth element, boundaries, ingestion, digestion, and being super conscious about what you ingest and what you allow into your space as a complete honouring of your whole being, right? When you set sound and strong, healthy, natural boundaries, you say, I'm worth more, and the universe will go, yes, you are worth more. And then you'll call in that higher, that better, that thing that feels really much more natural in your system. And it's about honouring what feels natural for you, because you know, you are naturally created in a particular way. And if you get overstimulated in particular environments, you don't want to keep putting yourself in that environment, because it really dishonours your soul and your physical, spiritual, material body. And you want to always honour your body. So nourish your stomach with strong boundaries, see what impact that has, and let me know how you get on. I would leave a list of powerful restorative statements that you can use when you want to speak to your stomach and really allow her to remember the principal aliveness of her and her natural state of relax. So you'll find those in the captions below. So my beautiful friend, until the next episode of School of Tao, sending you waves of love. You can also follow me on Instagram if you wish. I'm at It's Joanna Long. I look forward to connecting with you more and deeper in whatever ways we come together, and see you in the next episode.